My name is C. Radhakrishna. I am working as senior lecturer in chemistry at GPT Gadwal. Today, let us try to learn electronic configuration and based on what kind of principles we can write the electronic configuration of an atom, of an element. Okay. There are three principles mainly governing it. Let us see one by one. Okay. After completion of this topic, you will be able to know what is electronic configuration, what are the principles involved in writing the electronic configuration, and how to use these principles in writing of the electronic configuration. Okay. Let us see all these things one by one. Every electron has its own properties like energy, position, spin, etc. And all these things are, we learn all these things from their spectral study, and all these energy, position and spin, they are characterized by quantum numbers. We make use of these quantum numbers in writing the electronic configuration of different elements. Okay. What is electronic configuration? Basically, say you people wrote a poly set and you got a rank, you gave your options, you will be given admission to different courses according to certain rules and regulations, or otherwise the students will be distributed into the various seats, college seats available throughout the state. This will be done by certain rules and regulations by following. Okay. In the same way, in the atom, various atomic orbitals will be available in the atom. A lot number of orbitals will be available in a given atom, and like your seats are filled, even these electrons are also filled or distributed into various atomic orbitals in an atom. Okay. Various atomic orbitals in an atom, and this is called as the electronic configuration. We can define that distribution of electrons into various atomic orbitals of an atom in the ground state is called as electronic configuration or electron distribution, you can say. Usually we could use that on electronic configuration. All chemical properties of an element will depend upon the electron configuration. Even you must have learned about periodic table, you must have seen here and there many places that periodic table is a scientific arrangement of elements okay, into various tables and columns. They follow a scientific pattern based on certain properties they are distributed, and the distribution or arrangement of elements in the various blocks, various places in the periodic table is done by based on the electronic configuration of the different elements. This the properties of elements also can be predicted depend upon this electronic configuration of the element. Okay. So, the electronic configuration plays a vital role in the entire chemistry, not only in entire chemistry, in the entire material science, thereby in all the applications for the engineering and other things. Okay. So, electronic configuration may be defined as the distribution of electrons into various atomic orbitals available in the ground state of an atom. That is what electronic configuration is. Okay. We can predict all the properties based on the electronic configuration. Besides, arrangement of elements in the periodic table is also done based on the electronic configuration itself. So there are three principles based on which the electronic configuration, the electrons are distributed into various atomic orbitals. Three principles govern this. The first and foremost principle is Aufbau principle. Aufbau means in Greek language building. Here this Aufbau principle states that electrons enter into various orbitals in the increasing order of their relative energies. So this distribution of electrons into various orbitals is done based on the their relative energies. Relative means if four orbitals are there, okay, which of them has got lowest energy, which of them have the highest energy, and in what order will they increase. Relative means compared to one another. Okay, so here electrons are filled into various available atomic orbitals in the ground state of an atom based on the relative energies of the electrons. Okay. Mollier diagram is used to represent the order of the relative energies. That is, all the available atomic orbitals are arranged in the order of increasing energy levels, their energy levels. Okay, in the increasing energy levels, they form. We obtain a small diagram like thing that is called as Mollier diagram. In other words, Mollier diagram depicts the position of orbitals in the increasing energy levels. Okay, we'll see a little later the diagram. And energies of a given orbital is given by its n plus l, both are small letters, n plus l values. N plus l values, the sum of n plus l value gives you the energy of a given orbital. Here n stands for the principal quantum number and L stands for the azimuthal quantum number. Okay. Aufbau principle states that electrons first enter those orbitals which have a lower energy or lower n plus L values. Okay. See, it's one of the fundamental principles of nature that the lower is the energy, the higher will be the stability, and the vice versa. We all of us are quite aware that the lower is the energy, okay, the higher will be the stability. So energy is inversely proportional to the stability. All systems in nature try to seek maximum stability. Okay. Our atoms or molecules are also same, they are no exception. They also try to seek as much stability as possible all the time. So to get stability, they have to lower their energies to be more stable. All systems in nature tend to be stable, tend towards try to move towards stability. Okay. So here electrons also, the atoms also seek stability and they try to lower their energy as much as possible. So electrons enter first those orbitals which have lowest energy. This energy values are the values depend upon the n plus L values of the orbitals. For instance, let us take an example of 3d and 4s orbitals. Okay, 3d and 4s orbitals. Okay. Here, as I told you, for 3d orbital, the number 3 and 4 here, they stand for principal quantum number, and the L value for s orbital is 0. L means we have just seen the azimuthal quantum number. Yeah, the azimuthal quantum number L stands for. The azimuthal quantum number for s orbital, there we deal with 4 orbitals or 4 energy levels. For s orbital, L value is 0. For p orbital, L value is 1. for d orbital L value is 2, for f orbital L value is 3, orbital quantum number value is 3. Okay. Here 3d 4s, the number always stands for the principal quantum number n value, and for the L value it depends upon the orbital present. In the case of we are considering the example of 3d and 4s, and in the 3d orbital the value is n value is 3, L value is for d orbital is 2, 3 plus 2 is 5. Okay. In the same way, the n plus L values for 4s is 4 plus 0, for s orbital L value is 0, 4 plus 0 is 4. Which is lower? The 4s orbital is of lower energy. So, electrons enter first the 4s orbital, and after filling up the 4s orbital, then only they will enter the higher orbitals of higher energy. That is why, that is after filling up 4s orbital with 2 electrons, next entering electrons will go to the 3d orbital, because the n plus L value of 4s orbital is lower and n plus L value of 3d is higher. Okay. So, after 3p electrons will enter 4s rather than 3d. Okay. We will see a little later some of the electron configurations, you will understand how it is. Okay. Auber principle, and I told you the energies of orbitals will depend upon the n plus L values, and electron will enter that orbital first whose n plus L values are, whose n plus L value is lower. Fine, clear indication. But sometimes a situation arises where different orbitals, 2 or more orbitals may have the same identical n plus L values. Okay, identical n plus L values. Then what happens? Which orbital to enter first? This doubt arises. Let us see an example here. Okay, let us see the example of 3d and 4p orbitals. Okay, for 3d orbital, the energy is n value is 3, and d value is L value is for d orbital is 2, 3 plus 2 is 5, n plus L value for 3d orbital is 5, and for 4p orbital n value is 4 plus L value for p orbital is 1, 4 plus 1 is again 5. Okay. Here you have come across a situation where n plus L values are identical, 2 orbitals are identical. Now, how can you determine which is lower? Here a principle is laid down that whenever the n plus L values of orbitals are identical or the same, okay, whenever the n plus L values of different orbitals are identical, electrons enter first that orbital whose n value is lower, principal quantum number is lower. According to this principle, okay, here in the case on hand between 3d and 4p orbitals, electrons will enter first 3d orbitals, then they will enter the 4p orbitals, because the 3d orbitals n value is lower. So, electrons first enter 3d orbitals and they will go to the 4p orbital. Okay. So, first 3d orbitals are filled with 10 electrons. So, in the next 10 elements, all the electrons will go to the 3 orbital. After 3d orbitals are completely filled with 10 electrons, okay, 10 electrons, then only the next entering electron will go to the 4p orbital. Okay. So, what Aufbau principle states is electrons enter the orbitals of lower energy first, and orbitals are higher energy are progressively filled up in the increasing order of their energies. This is to ensure the stability of the element or atom or whatever it is. Okay, because lower energies always correspond to higher stability. All systems in nature tend to seek stability. Okay, so that is good. They enter according to n plus L values, which value is lower, they go into that orbital. But sometimes n plus L values are identical to for 2 or more orbitals, then the electrons enter that orbital first whose n value, that is principal quantum number, is lower, as is exemplified here between 3d and 4p. Okay, we will move on to the next Mollier diagram. Energies of orbitals increases in the direction shown by arrow marks. Here you can see the arrow marks. Okay, so here 1s orbital is lower energy than 2s, then 2p is lower than 3s, then 3p, like that it will go on. So 1s is the lowest, then 2s, 2p, 3s, 3p, 4s, 3d, like that. The arrangement of orbitals in the increasing order of their energies is gives rise to a diagram like that is called as Mollier diagram. This Mollier diagram can be made use of in filling of electrons into the various orbitals. Okay, works like very handy. This Mollier diagram is as it gives you the relative energies of most of the orbitals that we come across, and here another aspect of this is the orbitals which are present on a given line, given arrow mark, diagonally connected there, all of them will have the identical energies. For example, 2p and 3s, let us say they are connected by the same diagonal line. Okay, 2p n plus L value is 2 plus 1 is 3. So for 3s also 3 plus 0 is again 3. Okay, so electrons enter first 2p orbital, both of them have identical energies. So n value for 2p is lower. So here electrons enter first 2p orbital, then they will move on to the 3s orbital, they will be filled. The same situation arises among all the orbitals connected diagonally by this arrow mark. You can check for yourself. If you work a little and check for yourself, you feel satisfied, and it helps you in as an exercise as well, my dear students. Okay, this is about the Mollier diagram, and this is much helpful. It's quite handy in writing the electron configurations. Okay, let us try to summarize what we have learned so far. We discussed the electron configuration, that is distribution of electrons into various atomic orbitals in the ground state of an atom, or arrangement of electrons, so you can call as okay, is called as electronic configuration. We have seen Aubert principle. Okay, we have defined Aubert principle. We have seen the examples, how it works, how it's working, and we have seen Mollier diagram as well. Okay, the objectives, after completion of this period, your entire top lecture, you will be able to appreciate the principles involved in building up of electron configuration, how to use these principles in writing the electron configuration properly, and we will also learn about Hund's rule and Pauli exclusion principle in this chapter. Okay, Hund's rule as well as Pauli's exclusion principle we will see in this chapter. Okay, now can anybody answer how do you explain Aubert principle with an example? And this Aubert principle plays a major role in writing the electronic configuration. Okay, based on this Aubert principle only, we have arranged atomic orbitals in the order of increasing of their energies. Okay, order of increasing energies. Thereby we have got a Mollier diagram which is quite handy in writing the electronic configuration. Okay, next we will move on to, I told you there will be three principles involved which guide us in writing the electronic configuration. First and foremost is the Aubert principle, which we have just checked. Okay, next is the Hund's rule. Okay, Hund's rule states that pairing of electrons in degenerate orbitals takes place. Pairing of electrons in degenerate orbitals degenerate, that is the key word here, pairing of electrons. Pairing means okay, putting of two is a pair, right? Pairing of electrons in degenerate orbitals takes place after each orbital is filled with one electron. Degenerate orbitals means orbitals of the same sublevel. See, if you can recall our fundamentals that have we learned, in the S sublevel, see S, P, D, F, we usually refer to them as orbitals, but spectroscopically from which they originated, actually they originated from the spectral studies, they are called as sublevels of energy in a main energy level. Orbits are main energy levels, and S, P, D, F, these are called as sublevels of energy. Okay. We have a habit of referring to them as orbitals. Okay, let us continue that habit here. It's not that much harmful anyway, but try to realize that this S, P, D and F, they are not just orbitals, they are actually sublevels of energy. Okay, so here in S sublevel you have got only one single orbital. In the P sublevel you have three orbitals or three orientations. It's actual orientation we call it. Three orbitals. P sublevel you have three orbitals. In the D sublevel you have five orbitals. Okay, and in the F sublevel you have seven orbitals. Okay, each orbital can house two electrons. Okay, it can accommodate or house two electrons each orbital. So the pairing of electrons, this see S orbital no issue, only one orbital, after one electron comes next electron will pair up. But when you go to P orbital you have got the P sublevel three orbitals. We can designate them as Px, Py, Pz. Okay, see here, according to spectra, what we found is all these three p orbitals are equal in energy or identical in energy. All the three p orbitals, they are identical in energy. So we call them as degenerate orbitals. Likewise, all the five orbitals present in the d sublevel, all the five orbitals present in the d sublevel are of the same or identical energy. They are also of the identical energy. Likewise, all the seven orbitals present in the f sublevel, all seven f orbitals are also of the identical or same energy. Okay, identical or same energy. We call them as all the seven f orbitals are degenerate, all the five d orbitals are degenerate, all the three p orbitals are also degenerate orbitals. Hund's rule pertains to the filling of electrons into these degenerate orbitals. All the three p orbitals have same n plus L values, all of them will have same n plus L values, so same energy. So that's not an issue. Hund's rule will not come into picture here. Okay, here Hund's rule states that whenever you are filling degenerate orbitals, electron pairing or coupling occurs only after all the available degenerate orbitals are filled with one electron each. Okay, Hund's rule of maximum multiplicity, this is called, actually full name is Hund's rule of maximum multiplicity. The more number of unpaired electrons you have, the higher is the multiplicity. Okay, let us see a few examples of Hund's rule of maximum multiplicity for you to understand. Okay, example, carbon. Atomic number of carbon is 6. Its electron configuration 1s2 2s2. Okay, 1s2 2s2 2p2. Okay, 6 electrons, 1s2 2s2 2p2. Okay, so you can see here in the diagram 1s is filled completely with 2 electrons, 2s is also filled with 2 electrons. I told you each orbital can house or accommodate just to maximum of 2 electrons. But when it comes to the p orbitals, 2p orbitals, okay, you have got 3 degenerate orbitals here. Instead of the electrons will be distributed as 2px1, 2py1 and 2pz0. Instead of 2px1 and 2px2, both electrons will not pair up until all these 3 2px 2px, 2py, 2pz, all the 3 orbitals are filled with, until they are filled with 1 electron each, the pairing will not happen. Okay, the pairing will not happen here. You can take an example of empty city bus. People entering the bus will go and sit singly beside the window. After all the seats are occupied with a single persons, then only incoming persons will try to sit beside them. Okay, much like our behavior, the electrons also do the same thing. Only once all the degenerate orbitals, that is 3p orbitals, 5d orbitals or 7f orbitals, only when they are filled with single electron each, then only the next electron starts pairing up. Let us see nitrogen now. Okay, so instead of 2px2, you will have the configuration which is against Hund's rule. Okay, you will get electrons will be distributed, one electron into 2px1 and the electron into 2py y orbital, 2pz is remains. Okay, there are no electrons, only 6 are accommodated, all the 6 are accommodated by now. Okay, now we will go for another example, nitrogen. The atomic number of nitrogen is 1s2, 2s2, and see all the 3 degenerate orbitals are filled with 1 electron each here. 7 atomic number is 7, 7 electrons are available. So 1 electron is filled in the 2px orbital, and there is 2py orbital, and there is 2pz orbital. They have not paired up in the 2px. Okay, so according to Hund's rule, pairing occurs only all the degenerate orbitals with filled with 1 electron each. In this way, nitrogen will have 3 unpaired electrons in the ground state, 3 unpaired electrons, and that is how it forms 3 bonds. Okay, its valency is 3. Next, let us see the example of oxygen. In the case of nitrogen, all the 3 orbitals are filled. So, the next coming electron will pair up. So, first you consider nitrogen itself, 2px1, 2py1, 2pz1 electrons are filled, and once this filling all are filled with 1 electron each, in the oxygen next coming electron is pairing up with 2p in the 2px orbital. Okay, so atomic number of oxygen. Okay, following Hund's rule, 8th electron pairs with 2px electron. The reason is all the degenerate orbitals are filled with 1 electron each. Okay, okay. Now I think things have become quite evident for you. Okay, now we will go for the next Pauli's exclusion principle. Pauli's exclusion principle. This principle states that you may have any number of electrons in an atom. Okay, if you take any 2 electrons, if you choose any 2 electrons randomly, those 2 electrons will not have all the 4 quantum numbers. We have got 4 quantum numbers: principal quantum number represented by n, azimuthal quantum number represented by L, magnetic quantum number represented by M, and spin quantum number represented by S. Okay, 4 quantum numbers they are. Okay, they depict this have like addresses of the electrons. They give you the position, energy, spin, everything about the electrons they reveal. Okay, they describe electrons in all aspects, the quantum numbers. But Pauli's exclusion principle states that you take choose any 2 electrons in an atom, they will not have all the quantum numbers identical, those 2 electrons. Even if first 3 coincide also, the last one will not, that will be different. So, to put it as a definition, we can say that no TWO2, no 2 electrons in an atom can have the same set of 4 quantum numbers, or all the 4 quantum numbers are identical. So, 2 electrons in a given atom have maximum coincidence of principal quantum number, azimuthal quantum number, and magnetic quantum number. Still they have to differ, they will differ in the spin quantum number. Okay, they will differ in the spin quantum number. This principle is used in the determination of maximum number of electrons which can be present in the main and subshells. Okay. Example, let us take 1s2. 1s2 is how many electrons are there? 2 electrons. 2 electrons means how many protons would be there in neutral atom? 2 protons. So, what is the atomic number? Atomic number is 2. Atomic number 2 corresponds to which element? Helium. Yeah, helium. Let us take the example of helium. Its electron configuration 1s2. Okay. Now, you can see the different values, the values of the different quantum numbers. Okay. For the first electron, n value 1s2, the number refers to the principal quantum number I told you. So, principal quantum number n value for both the first and second electrons is the same 1. Okay. Next, the azimuthal quantum number L value. L value for s orbitals is 0. We discussed already. Okay. So, here the 2s orbitals have the 1s orbital has L value is 0 for both first and second electrons. The m value is also 0 for both first and second electrons. So, the values n value, L value and m value coincide for both the electrons. They are identical or the same. But to pair up 2 electrons in a given atom, okay, to pair up 2 electrons in a given atom, okay, they must possess opposite spins, then only they will pair up. So, here for the 1s2 electrons which are paired up in the 1s orbital, okay, one electron will have plus value, spin value, plus half value, and the second will have a spin value of minus half. So, this goes to prove that even though they prove that no 2 electrons will have all the 4 quantum numbers identical in an atom. Okay, that's more than clarified by this example of helium. Okay, that's about the Pauli's exclusion principle. Next, we will see after. Now, let us see, try to write the electronic configuration. Let us see electronic configuration of a few elements. Okay, here that of sulfur 16 electrons, atomic number is 16 electrons are there. Okay, say 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p4, you can write up to 2p6. It is neon configuration is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6. Okay, neon configuration 1s2, 2s2, 2p6. So, we can write a neon core. That means you have got a 1s2, 2s2, 2p6 configuration there. Okay, we write neon in square brackets. Then we write our configuration of outermost orbit, that is 3s2. How many more electrons? 10 electrons are over by neon, and 6 more electrons have to be accommodated. So, 6 more electrons, 3s2, 3p4. Okay. Next, chlorine, neon core 3s2, 3p5. Argon is neon core 3s2, 3p6 or 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6. Next, potassium. Next, we can write since argon has come here, argon core. Argon core means that implies that from 1s2 to 3p6 electrons are housed, that are there, that is implied, that writing is implied. So, argon core 4s1, calcium argon core 4s2, scandium 21. Okay, electrons are entering into the d orbital. These are called d block elements or transition elements. They are called as okay. Those things we can discuss later. Why are they called so? Okay. So, argon core 4s2, 3d1, argon core 4s2, 3d2. Next, like that it goes on until all the d orbitals are filled at zinc. Okay, 4s2. Okay, zinc, argon core 4s2, 3d10. Okay, 4s2, 3d10 zinc. Okay, and say sometimes Auber principle is not obeyed. Primacy is given to Hund's rule of maximum multiplicity. Special cases, again these things can be explained in terms of stability itself. For the sake of stability, atoms do those things. Okay, anomalous configuration or abnormal configuration, that is not as per the rule but a bit different. Okay, not as per the rule but a bit different. Okay, so we have two cases of anomalous configuration. Okay, they are the configuration of copper and chromium. They differ from the predicted values. Actually, chromium configuration, chromium atomic number is 24. You should have a configuration of 4s2 and 3d4. But as per Hund's rule, chromium atom gets extra stability by having an electron from 4s transferred to 3d. Okay. So, hence for the sake of stability, according to Hund's rule, okay, electron from 4s jumps to 3d subshell, and it will have okay, a configuration of argon core 4s1 3d5, and it is from the spectral studies and various magnetic studies it is proved that chromium has got not just 4 unpaired electrons but 6 unpaired electrons maximum. It goes to prove the Hund's rule of maximum multiplicity, which gives the more multiplicity, more number of unpaired electrons, the more stable it is. So, here chromium gains extra stability with the D5 configuration, 4s1 3d5 configuration. Normally, in the course of normal rating, it should have been 4s2 3d4. Okay, the configuration should have been 4s2 3d4, but instead the configuration is 4s1 3d5. An electron from 4s orbital is jumped into and take filled 3d5 orbital. Okay, so the configuration actually became, instead of theoretical prediction being 4s2 3d4, but actual configuration is 4s1 3d5. Okay, 4s1 3d5 actual configuration is okay. Similarly, you have got the configuration of copper also. The predicted configuration of copper is atomic number of copper is 29. The predicted configuration is argon core. Argon core means 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6. Up to that, that's implied. Okay, and outermost orbit configuration is 4s2 3d9. That is predicted according to rules we have learned. We should write 4s2 3d9. But as per Hund's rule, copper becomes more stable if it gets 3d10 configuration rather than 3d9 configuration, if 3d shell is completely filled. Here the rule is okay, we will see the rule later. Okay, the hence electron from 4s jumps to 3d, for thus that 3d subshell is completely filled. So, the actual configuration that is found in the case of copper is it is 3d1 and 4s1 and 3d10. Copper gains extra stability with 3d10 configuration, extra stability with 4s1 3d10 configuration. Okay, here the rule is rule can be framed like electronic states with half filled or completely filled orbitals are more stable. Electronic states with half filled or completely filled orbitals are more stable than incompletely filled orbitals. Okay, this is also another way of explaining the Hund's rule and stability. Okay, so because of this, in the case of chromium, the configuration becomes 4s1 3d5, and in the case of copper, it becomes 4s1 3d10. This 4s1 3d5 and 4s1 3d10 gain primacy over other theoretical predicted configurations because these states, in these states, these two states, the orbitals are half filled or completely filled. So they gain more, they become more stable, and that configuration prevails. Okay, that configuration prevails. Let us see briefly how to write the electron configuration. So far we have learned electron configuration of different elements. We have also seen the anomalous configuration of copper and chromium, and we have accounted for why they are so. Okay. Let us see, recapitulate what is Hund's rule, what is the Pauli's exclusion principle, what is the Aubert principle. So, how to write the electron configuration? Okay, we have got NLX method and box method. We usually go for NLX method. Here N represents a sublevel, L represents the sublevel. Okay, N represents the sublevel, and NL X is superscript. Okay, X represents the number of electrons in that sub energy level. NLX method we usually follow. Okay, in the box method, each orbital is represented in the box or square. Towards the left of the box is the principal quantum number, and above the box is sub energy level to which it belongs. Okay. Points to be kept in mind writing the electron configuration. As per Pauli's principle, one orbital accommodates only 2 electrons with opposite spin. Yeah, maximum you can house only 2 electrons. The maximum number of electrons which can be accommodated in different sublevels is in the s orbital maximum of 2 electrons, in the p orbital maximum of 6 electrons, d orbital maximum of 10 electrons, and f orbital maximum of 14 electrons. In the main energy level with principal quantum number, maximum number of electrons. In a given orbit, the maximum number of electrons which can be present, may or may not be present, but which can be accommodated, maximum number that can be accommodated is given by 2n squared. Okay, maximum number of electrons which can be present in a given orbit is given by 2n squared, where n is the principal quantum number. Okay. Here we are writing the configuration. We are seeing hydrogen 1s1, helium 1s2, lithium 2s1, 2s, beryllium 2s2, like that, like fourth, so on. Okay. Here we are able to show that first we are writing the, for example, take fluorine 1s2, 2s2, 2p5. Okay. This 1 stands for the principal quantum number n, S stands for L, NL. X is superscripted. This S is 2 is actually square superscript on the right hand side comes to. It's not depicted here properly, but it is superscripted. Okay, this is NLX method. Okay, this is more popular. Okay, NLX method. So, what have we learned? We have learned so far. We have learned the electronic configuration. Definition of electronic configuration. Okay, how to what are the various principles based on which we can write this electron configuration. Okay, we have also seen okay, electron configuration, various principles involved in the writing of the electron configuration according to which we write the electron configuration or distribute electrons into various orbitals. They are Aubert principle. From Aubert principle we write Maulian diagram also. Okay, Aubert principle, which states that electron centered to orbitals starting with lowest energy first and higher energy orbitals are progressively filled up. Next we went for the Hund's rule, which states that whenever electrons enter a set of degenerate orbitals, okay, pairing occurs only after all the orbitals are filled with 1 electron each. Next, the third one is Pauli's exclusion principle, and that states that no 2 electrons in an atom will have all the 4 quantum numbers the same. Okay. Then we have seen the anomalous configuration of 2 elements, that is copper and chromium, and we have also ascertained the regions for that. Okay. With this we conclude this lecture.